Hey y'all, welcome back to Chat with Coach Amy. Today I have a special friend. This is Kathy. She is a fellow coach, and I'm going to give a little background, okay, Kathy?
Okay.
So I have seen her on the socials. I've met her twice, and this past year at the Coaches Retreat, we were taken back at when we were at the cafe to share our story. And I don't even know what Trim Healthy Mama's going to do with those, but it's fine. We're all excited to share our story. And when it was time for Kathy to share her story, which you are about to hear, I was in tears. And she sat down. I think before you even sat down, I gave you a big old hug. And then we sat down and I was like, people have to hear your story. And then later, I think when we were having dinner, I was like, will you be on my podcast? So here we are finally several weeks later. So do you just want to introduce yourself and then we'll kind of start from the beginning, if that's okay?
All right. So my name is Kathy, and I am old. I'm going to be 61 in like 3 days. So
Wow.
I'm old. I am,
Not old.
well, I feel old sometimes, but I am way younger now than I was in my 20s. I got to
That's
tell you
right.
that.
Amen.
So I'm on my second marriage. My first husband decided to leave after 39 years,
Mm.
totally threw me for a loop. But God blessed me with a really good man. So I'm happy about that. I have
Mm.
2 grown boys and a daughter in heaven
Mm.
and 3 grandchildren. So I'm very blessed there. I work a lot. I have a full time day job that I just got promoted to supervisor in. I
Congratulations.
Thank you. I waited 7 years for that. So I'm very happy.
Wow.
Um, I also am a licensed master social worker. So I counsel families and children. And so I do that per diem.
Wow.
And what else do I do? Well, I coach
Yeah.
or try to, anyways. I don't do as much of it as I could, but I'm working on that.
I bet you're
Um,
about to.
I think I'm about to. Yes, I'm.
Yep.
I'm really building things together for that. So my husband has a 17-year-old son he has autism, so
Okay.
it's a challenge
He
sometimes.
lives with y'all.
But yes, he lives with us. He's a senior in high school this year.
Oh.
So yeah, I have 2 little dogs that keep me very busy.
Oh, what kind of dogs?
They're Yorkies.
Oh, I used to have, okay, so I used to have a little teacup Yorkie, and I know that's not like the real word, but that's what they called her. She was
Mhm.
like 3 pounds, maybe. Her name was Sophie. She was so little. Are yours that little?
They're a little bigger. They're about 6 pounds.
Okay.
And they're boys. They've been together all their life, but they're not
Oh,
related.
okay.
Their names are Louie and Vladimir, and they are completely different dogs.
I love it.
Louie is short and stubby, and Vladdy has long legs and a very thin body. Vladdy's ears are floppy, and
Uh-huh.
Louie's are pointy.
Oh my
They
goodness.
couldn't be any more different, but when they lay next to each other, you can't tell one body from the other.
Oh, that's
And
so
I love
sweet.
them, and they are my exercise every day.
Oh, good. That's wonderful. And did you say where you live?
I currently live in upstate New York in the Albany area. Because New York is big. Everybody thinks when you live in New York, you're either in the city or like Rochester or something.
Yeah.
I'm by Albany. It's a small
Yeah.
town, Albany, Troy. But I was born and raised in San Diego, and I will
Wow.
forever be a California girl. I don't really like New York, but I'm here,
Yes,
and
you are.
guess where God put me? I'm blooming where I'm planted. So,
Amen. I love that.
and
I
I've
love
been here
that.
longer than I ever was in California. So I guess technically I am a New York girl. I just won't admit it.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Well, I want to go back. I know that just from what I know, what we talked about at that dinner, it seems like a lot of your struggle began when your daughter passed away, but I sneaky suspicion that it was even before then. Um,
Yeah,
so
it,
take
it
us
was
back as far
before.
as you want, and let's just go in chronological order and let people in and let them hear your story.
So my story can be very sad,
Mhm.
and not really a pleasant thing. And I don't want my story to be that way.
Yeah,
But sometimes you have to hear the sad to get to the
I
glad.
agree. I agree.
So I was 17 when my father suddenly, his girlfriend decided I could no longer live with my dad.
Mm.
And I had 24 hours notice. I was put on a plane in the middle of my senior year of high school and sent to New York to live with my mom and
Wow.
my sisters. That was devastating to me.
Wow.
And my plan was to graduate high school out here and go right back to California and just live my life without my dad.
Mhm.
That didn't happen because I met my first husband 3 months after I got here, and I was still 17 when we got married.
Mhm.
But aside from that traumatic event, before I met my husband, I had a very hard experience where I was taken advantage of by several boys in our
Mhm.
community
Mhm.
at the same time, which made me
Wow.
feel very unworthy of
Right.
a lot of things. I didn't think
Oh,
much
I'm
of
so
myself after that.
sorry.
And so I got married at 17 and things were great until I got pregnant 2 years later. And I became an adult to
Grew
take
up.
care of my kids, and my husband did not. He
I see.
stayed he stayed single and stayed doing all the things he thought he should do. And so it was tough. It was emotional. He was never physical abusing to me, but it was emotional and constantly, nobody will want you.
Mhm.
So he did whatever he wanted. So food became my friend.
Yep.
And I like food and I'm a good cook. And so it was really easy to gain weight. And I did about 10 pounds a year, which that's not a lot if you think about it.
Right.
But 10 years, that's 100 pounds.
Right.
So I went from 130 pounds to 250 pounds in, a very short time.
Wow.
And then I got pregnant for my daughter, and she died on her due date.
Mm.
And the doctor made me carry her for almost a month. He wanted to deliver natural. That was the
Wow.
safest thing to do. And she just wasn't coming out. And my
Mm.
doctor couldn't take it anymore. He finally said, "That's
Mm.
it. I'm sending you into the hospital and we're going to induce." And
Right.
so they did. I didn't know if it was a girl or a boy, so
Mm.
I was very sad that it was the girl that I'd always wanted.
Yeah.
Um, and, my husband's family blamed me, said it was my fault because I lost 11 pounds in that pregnancy. I didn't gain any weight, but I was already 250 pounds. So
Right.
it was not unhealthy.
That's right.
I was healthy.
Yep.
And so they blamed me for that. And that was a hard thing to take too, because I honestly, when I found out I was pregnant, I was not happy because my
Mhm.
husband was not nice.
Right.
And
Right.
I didn't want to bring another baby into the world. But after the third month, I started getting happy again. I got excited
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
made a room and the whole thing. And so losing her was really hard. But God brought a snowstorm the day we buried her. We buried her on my first son's birthday. And
Oh.
the very next day, there was a freak storm in 1987 that covered all of New York in like a foot of snow that
Wow.
wasn't expected in the beginning of October. And it was just God telling me, "Hey, I'm putting a blanket over her.
Oh.
She's with me, and that's good." And my body just kind of every year from September 10th, that's the day she died, to October 4th, the day the snow fell, my body goes into a mourning
Mm.
kind of it's
Yeah.
automatic. I can't make it stop. I get very sad. I no longer overeat or eat the wrong things, but
That's why we were at the retreat.
yeah, that's one of the reasons
Oh my
why I
gosh.
went early. I spent extra time to try to change my environment. Yeah, it was right in the retreat. So
Wow.
people saw me, I would cry. I cried periodically for no
Yeah.
reason, and people wondered why. That's why, because I would think of her. Her name was
I
Jeanette
see.
Aaron.
Jeanette.
So, and I have a little picture of her, you
Oh,
know, and I keep it, even though it's not
of
very pretty,
course.
but it's,
Yeah.
because she was a little waterlogged, but she was my girl and she had a head of
Yeah.
hair, and
Oh.
I got to hold her. But yeah, it's a sad time for me. But Trim Healthy actually helped me not, at least I don't overeat or eat the wrong foods, but I don't always focus and put my full attention.
Right.
I'll eat healthy choices, but sometimes I don't care if I eat. I might only
I
eat
see.
one meal or two meals in the day because I don't think about it.
Yeah.
So, like this year, I try to distract myself during that time. And I went to the retreat. I went out 2 weeks early and spent time with a friend in Florida
Yeah.
and just tried to change my environment and change my mindset over that. And it did help.
Wow.
It was good, but I gained all most of my weight after that. At one point, uh, there were no scales that could weigh me. So
Mm.
I'd go to the doctors and they wouldn't even like attempt to have me step on the scale because their scales didn't go high enough. And I ended up with congestive heart failure at one point, I think in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And they put me, I was in the hospital and they had me on a hospital bed, and that actually had a scale built into it. So I was able to be weighed then. Now I had been on a diet and I'd probably already lost at least 50 pounds. And at that time, the scale on the bed weighed over 600.
Oh my goodness.
So
And how
they
tall are
told me
you?
I'm I'm 5'2" or 5'3". I'm shrinking. So
We're about
I
the
was
same.
maybe 5'3". So yeah,
Oh,
I look like a yoga ball, I guess would be the
wow.
best way to describe me.
Yeah.
And they basically thought I was just a walking time bomb.
Right.
You know, most people didn't want to help me. Any doctor I ever went to, if I went to for a stuffed nose, they'd tell me it was because I was fat. It didn't
Huh,
matter what was wrong with me. Weight was always
you're
my
kidding.
problem. No.
Wow.
So it was a tough road. And my husband, actually, ex-husband, I
Mm-mm.
think he preferred it that way because he knew he could do whatever he wanted and I wasn't going anywhere. Because
I
where
see.
was I going to go?
Yeah.
Um, so it was told to me by my doctors and my church. They kind of had like a word of knowledge for me that said 2 years stroke, 3 years dead.
Wow.
That was in 2006. And I had a grandson then who was 2 years old. He was born preemie. He was 3 pounds when he was born.
Oh,
He lived
Felicia.
with me. I raised him all of his life. He just now moved down to South Carolina to see his mom. She was only 14, so she couldn't do it. So
Gracious.
I did it. And he needed me and I needed him. So I had to do something. It was not acceptable for me to die
Yeah.
and not be there for him. So I had been taken out of work. So I was on Social Security disability.
Okay.
And because of that, I qualified for Medicare.
Right.
And Medicare paid for me to see a weight loss surgery doctor and get the gastric bypass. My
Okay.
husband's insurance would not pay for it.
Right.
So even though I may have tried years before, I couldn't get
Right.
it. So God had to take me out of work. He had to make me very sick so that I could get the insurance to get what I needed. There was no Trim Healthy Mama in
Yeah. No,
2006.
that's
There
right.
wasn't. So I followed the program. I worked it. I did everything I was supposed to. And on my birthday, 15 years ago,
Hmm.
I had weight loss surgery. And I got down to about 300 pounds. So I lost half
Half.
half my body weight in about 18 months. And
Wow.
then, yeah, then the
How did
doctors
you
could,
feel?
I
How did
felt so good.
had
It
to have
was it was so good. I mean, I so my stomach, when I would sit in a chair, my stomach would sit on the floor.
when you
It
shared that
hung,
with me, Kathy, I can't even fathom that
yeah,
because I know
it's,
what you look like today. I can't.
yeah,
It's crazy.
it was very, very hard to do even just walking or driving because the weight of that stomach weight
Yeah.
sat on my knee. So I have had 2 knee replacements because I
Right.
basically killed my knees.
Right.
Um, I couldn't wear pants. I couldn't wear underpants
Wow.
because they wouldn't stay up because the
Right.
skin was so heavy, it would just roll. So I
Right.
wore dresses all the time. That's all I could wear were dresses, not skirts, not just a
Just
pullover
pull it over.
frock.
Hmm.
Um, so that was a struggle. I also still had a cycle. at the
Oh, I
time.
see.
Only for me, my cycles lasted 10 months without stopping. So imagine that you can only wear a pullover frock and
Wow.
nothing underneath, and you are very heavy and anemic because of it. It
Oh
it was
my
it was
goodness.
very difficult, and I worked a full-time job through all that.
Oh my gosh.
So once I lost the weight, they were able to remove some of the excess skin,
Right?
and they did that twice because there was so much of it, they couldn't do it all at once. I was able to get the knees replaced. I was able to get a hysterectomy.
Mhm.
So all of the things that couldn't be fixed because of my weight got fixed.
Right.
And then I found Trim Healthy.
And that
And
what year was that?
it was 2014,
Okay.
February of 2014. So I
Isn't
think
that amazing? We will never forget the day we
nope.
found Trim Healthy. I will never forget it.
Yep. And I remember it so clearly because so as a weight loss surgery patient, our Bible, so to speak,
Yeah.
is protein first,
Yep.
right? Because
Yep.
protein is what your muscles need, and your heart is your biggest muscle. And I absorb 50 to 60% of things that I eat.
Right.
So I needed to always have protein
Mhm.
first. And then they go to the non-starchies. And then if you're going to have anything after that, they limit it. So when I opened the book and I saw about separating the fuels, it was like this ta-da thing, this big light went over my head. It was like an explosion of fireworks. I thought, oh my goodness, I have been eating healthy. Now I lost, like I said, 300 pounds right away, the first 18 months. And then I didn't lose anything. I stopped.
Oh,
I stopped. And then Trim Healthy came and I realized about separating the fuels, and all of a sudden I'm not eating carbs and fats at the same time, and
and
I
that's
went
easier for
down
your body.
I went down another 50 pounds in 2
Wow.
years, and then I stalled again
Wow.
because my body has lost so much and there's
Mhm.
so much healing to be done
Yeah.
that now I'm stuck at this 250-pound weight, which
Mm.
is not ideal for my height,
Right.
but I know that I'm healthy,
Yeah.
and I know that eventually I will lose the rest, whatever it
And you
takes.
will. That's right.
Yeah, I will. My body has to heal. And I mean, I had 40 years of unhealthy.
Yeah. Damage.
So
All that damage. Who told you about Trim Healthy Mama?
I think it was my mom who
Oh.
saw them on the 700 Club.
Oh,
That
yeah. Okay.
they went on the 700 Club, and I think she saw that. And then there's a lady in my church who is actually an admin on several of the Trim Healthy
Oh.
pages. So she's been doing Trim Healthy since the very beginning.
Right.
And so when I told her about it, she's like, "Well, that's what I do." And
Ah,
so I pretty much just kind of
yes. Yeah.
used her as my source. So,
Yeah.
and she encouraged me to become a coach early on, but I couldn't afford it.
Sure.
It was
My
a little
story
bit.
too.
So I waited, and I actually did it on my birthday 2 years ago.
Oh,
So I do everything on my
you're
birthday.
so sentimental. You're a
I
very sentimental person.
I
That's
think
I
so.
love that though. That's so good.
So yeah, I love the Trim Healthy, and I love that I can even be healthy and happy without losing weight. And I know it's frustrating, and I know there's people out there
Yep.
that want to give up, but it's not even an option because I think about it. If I gave up now, where would I be?
Preach it,
I would
girl.
be
Preach it.
worse than where I am now. Even if I don't ever lose another pound, if I get healthy, if my gut heals, if I can walk a 5K now. I can do things like that where
That's right.
I couldn't walk from the bedroom to the bathroom,
Yeah.
without pausing for a break. I used to be on
Yeah.
oxygen. I used to take all kinds of things. I don't have to do any of that. So I'm okay if the scale doesn't move, but I believe it will.
Yeah.
And I have found that it's better to find other victories
Yeah.
than the scale. The scale is like 1/5 of your progress.
Yeah.
There's so many other things that you can manage and measure that can show that you're doing the right thing for yourself so that you can be there for your family or for yourself or whatever. And so I focus on those things. And that's
Yeah.
what I try to tell the people that come to me for coaching. that I can help you through that.
Yeah.
My husband left me after 39 years of marriage, but I didn't gain weight. I didn't turn to food.
Amazing.
I have a community. I have friends that I've
Mhm.
met through Trim Healthy. Um, I have Marco Polo groups. I have the
Oh,
Facebook groups. I just have such a support system that I couldn't imagine what my life would be like without that. I have a weight loss
amen.
support group too, but it's a little different.
Yeah.
And sadly, most of those people have regained a
Mm.
lot of their weight because they didn't change the way they thought about it.
Hey, that's right. That's right. You've got to,
And
no matter what you do, no matter
right,
what you do to lose weight, even if it's just Trim Healthy Mama, you still have
exactly.
to change how you approach food.
Yeah.
And, my followers and everything, they know that food is not your friend. It is your fuel. You've got to
That's
put food in its place.
right. Yes.
And of course, I enjoy food. I'm preparing for my little holiday group, and I've got all the cookie recipes and all the things. But you've got to put it in its place and not allow food to have power over you.
Right.
That's not why God gave it to us.
No, and it did have a power over me for many, many years.
Yeah.
It was my method of comfort, but it's not now. Now I know if I eat something that's not, maybe by accident, maybe I went somewhere and I asked for something and they gave me something else and
Mhm.
I'm like 3 bites in and I'm like, "Oh no, this is not what I
Yeah.
expected it to be." I know my body knows and it's like, "Oh no, that wasn't the best choice for you there." But no, food doesn't control me anymore. And I used to say to people all the time, when life is out of control, and my life went out of control when my husband left. My life, there's so many things have happened that made things hard. He left me with all the bills and trying to
Wow.
figure out how to pay those. But when you can't control everything around you, there is one thing you can control, and
Mm,
I can control what goes in my mouth.
that's right.
Nobody is feeding me with a spoon. I put in my mouth what I choose to put in there. And when my world is all uprooted around me and going crazy, I know if I can at least control what I eat,
Mm,
it gives me that sense of I'm not lost. I'm not like just randomly floating
wavering.
around.
Right.
And that then gives me the strength to deal with the next thing.
Hmm.
And I don't have to deal with everything at the once, but I deal with the food first and I get that strength and that confidence, then I can handle one more thing. And then
That's
I
right.
get through it. And I did. I got through it and now I have a new husband, I have a new life, I have a great job. So, God blesses the efforts
Yeah.
when you lean on him and let him just guide you and do the things that he says you can do. And
Yeah.
that's all we have to do.
That's right. Can you go back whenever you shared with me about your swimming that you did? Can you take us back to that and go through that? Because that, to me, that was it was just incredible to see your perseverance and your determination to do what you needed to do to get to where you needed to be.
So I always tell people that I am a fish. I love the water. My mansion in heaven is a swimming pool. I know it because that's what I want. That would be heaven to me. So I'm pretty sure it's a built-in, in-ground swimming pool, and I can't wait to get there. But when you start for weight loss surgery, you have to exercise. It's part of the program. And like I said, my stomach stood on the ground and I couldn't do a sit up or
Yeah.
walk or do any of those kind of things. So I called my doctor and I said, "My back hurts. I think I need physical therapy and I think I need to do it in the pool." So he gave me a script for physical therapy, which I could get covered under my husband's yucky insurance at the time. And I found a physical therapist that did it at the Y. So I didn't have to have a membership because I couldn't afford one. So I went to the Y 3 days a week for physical therapy. And the Y let me stay after the therapy was over. I was already there. I was already in the water. So they didn't make me leave. And I'd spend from like 9 to 3. I would be in the pool all day
Wow.
long. I just loved it there. But I wore a bathing suit and it looked like I had 4 legs
Mm.
because my stomach went through
So
the
this
leg
is
holes.
before weight loss surgery.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I had to start before weight loss surgery because you had to lose
Right.
20% of your body weight
Right.
before you could start. And you had to exercise and you had to go to groups and you had to prove that you were doing all this stuff. So I figured the only way I could do it was in a pool. And I live in New York. There are no pools
Yeah. In
regularly
the
available out
backyard.
here.
Yeah.
But the Y is open 24 or every day of the year. So
Yeah.
that's what I did. And I went and I did the physical therapy. And I remember it was hard just standing there and walking. She'd have you walk or do knee lifts or whatever she had me doing in there. It was hard. And then I love to swim. I've always swam. I grew up in San Diego. I mean, I lived in the water.
Yeah.
So I started wanting to swim a lap, but I couldn't swim the length of the pool. So I would swim from one rope to the other, one lane rope to the other lane rope. And I could only swim across once and then I'd have to stop and walk back. And then I was able to do it back and forth a few times. And then I was able to swim the length of the whole lane instead of just the width of the lane. And 6 months, I'd say 6 months in, I swam a mile without stopping of
Wow.
laps. And
Wow.
I know. And the people in the Y had been watching me for 6 months because all the old people were there doing their little
Yeah.
uh, water
Water
aerobics.
aerobics. Yeah.
Everybody's there because I wasn't working. I was on disability. So I had nothing else to do. So I'd bring my grandson with me and we'd swim. We'd just hang out in the pool all day long. And he loved it. I loved it. It was great. And I did the first mile, and when I stopped and I got up, the entire place, everybody started
Oh.
clapping. And I was like, I don't even
Oh.
know these people, but they were all
They were so
clapping because
proud
they
of
knew I
you.
did it. So, and I kept going. And eventually the Y gave me a membership, a scholarship membership, so
Mhm.
that I could keep coming for a while. And so after I had my surgery for another year, I was able to go and swim, and I swam often. I miss it. I really want to get back to a
Mhm.
gym that has a pool.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping now with my promotion
Yep.
that just started last
Work some
week
things
that
out. Yep.
maybe January I can go to a gym that has a pool. And so I'll be back in the office now instead of working from home all the time. So I'll be out. I'll just
Yeah, you
stop into the
will. That'll be
gym
good
before
too.
I go home. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm excited. But yeah, swimming saved me. You're weightless in the water, and when you weigh
Mhm.
600 pounds, you want to be in the water when you exercise.
Yeah.
And it was great, and I loved it. And it was embarrassing. Some of the kids would point or scream. I got
Wow.
lots of reactions because it was not pretty, but
Yeah.
I wasn't there to impress people. I was
Well,
there to exercise,
get
and
better.
I did it and it worked. And I am so thankful that God said to me, get physical therapy. I don't even know how I thought of that. Nobody
Yeah.
told me that.
It just came to you.
It just came to me and it worked. And I don't know. I feel like he just lined everything up for me so much. And there's always a way. There is a way to do it. I wish I didn't have to have weight loss surgery. I wish that I didn't have
Yeah.
to worry that I can't absorb half of the things I eat or swallow. But I know that I would have died without it,
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah.
And if somebody is in the position with me where they've had to have it, I can help them stay the course.
That's
And
right.
if there's somebody thinking about it but might not need it, I can help them make that decision too.
Mhm.
And that's what I just want to help the people that think there's no end. I've lost 100 pounds 100 times,
Wow.
but I always gain it back. But
Right.
I did not gain it back this time. And I know I could have because half of my friends did, but I
Yeah.
didn't because I stuck with Trim Healthy. I found a lifestyle, not a diet.
Amen.
It's a lifestyle. I don't ever think since February of 2014 that I've ever looked at a meal and didn't say, is this an S or an E or I just that's normally what I do. Or I'll say, okay, well, what's your protein? What are you having?
Yeah.
And I can't look at a meal in any other way. It's a fuel.
Yeah.
What is it? What are you
Right.
doing? And I was going somewhere with that. Don't you hate when that happens?
I don't know. You were doing good. I know
I know, I
that.
was going somewhere with that. Oh, Lord, it's gone. It'll come back to me at
That's all
like
right.
first we're done. Um, oh, I tell, I was talking about not losing. Oh my Lord. You say something while I think for a minute.
It's all right. It's all right.
Ask me
Where do
another
you see
question.
yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I see myself exercising at
Mm,
intentionally
mm,
at least 3 times a week, at
yeah,
least.
yeah.
I'm really excited about that. I really, really wanna do some strength training.
Mm,
I have not done it yet, and I know I have no muscles. I hear Pearl talk about it all the time, and I'm
yeah.
like, "Pearl, I don't have a single one." I know they're all gone. My hysterectomy was years ago, like
Yeah.
13 years ago. But, I'm back to the office 50% of the time, and my gym, it doesn't have a pool, but the gym that I'm a member of is right there where I work. I literally
Oh,
walk past it to get to my office or get home. So I can go there now. Now my grandson, I don't have to pick him up anymore because he's graduated.
right.
So I don't have to rush home. So now I can go after work and use their weights, use their machines, and get at least 3 days a week, maybe
Yeah.
more,
I love
of
it.
exercise. So I want to be a person that intentionally moves in five
So
years,
good.
more
So
than walking my dogs,
yeah.
more than walking
Yeah.
my dogs. Um, yeah, I'd like to say I'd like to see myself at a goal weight,
Yeah.
but I'm not putting that kind of pressure on me
Mm,
because I don't want to feel like a failure if I
sure.
don't.
Yeah.
I know I can add the exercise, and I know I will eventually get to a healthier goal weight, but
Mhm.
that's not the most important thing
Yeah.
to me.
I agree.
So
I agree. So, so good. So good. Um, what truth did you decide to tell yourself in the beginning, whenever you knew enough was enough? What was the truth that kept you going? Because you overcame so much adversity, even with the relationships with people that you had and the trials that were thrown at you and the sickness and all of that.
so it's funny, the way it started, um, I was on Weight Watchers at the time. I hadn't had the weight loss surgery yet. I hadn't
Mhm.
even gotten into the program yet. And one of they had online message boards, kind of like Facebook, but it
Mhm.
was Weight Watchers message
Yeah.
boards. And I made several friends on there that I've known now for over 20 years. Some of them I've never met in person, but I've talked to on the phone or um, and this one woman, her name was Patty. She's probably almost as old as my mom, but she was wonderful. And she called me up one day, and so there's one thing about me I probably should tell you. If I make a promise, I keep it. I will not go back on my
Mm,
word. If I give you my word, you can take it to the bank.
yeah.
And she knew that about me. So she called me up one day and she told me that I had to promise her that I would look in the mirror. I'm going to cry.
Mm,
She said,
okay.
I want you to
Take your
look in
time.
the mirror every single day and say to that face that you're looking at in the mirror that you are beautiful
Mm,
and that you are worth it. And she made me
mm.
promise because she knew that I wouldn't break.
That's hard to do.
So I did. And for 9 months, 9 months, I looked in that mirror and I said, you are beautiful and you are worth it. And then I'd walk out the door and I say, and you're a liar. And I'd laugh. But I still said it
Yeah.
every day. One day, it was probably about 9 months because I always liken to it like a pregnancy, like it birthed in me. We must have been going somewhere, a wedding or something. So I was dressed up and I was
Hmm.
putting makeup on, or I had put makeup on, and I don't know if I was just washing my hands, whatever. I'm in the bathroom and I look in the mirror and I every time I was in the bathroom, I'd say it every
Yeah.
single time.
Yeah.
I say, you are beautiful and you are worth it. And at that moment, I actually did look
Mm,
pretty. It
yeah.
must have been the makeup, maybe it was the way I had maybe I had my hair done that day, I don't know,
Hmm.
but I saw pretty
Yeah.
in the mirror that day, and that's when things changed for me, and then
Wow.
I believed it because I never believed that I was worth the effort.
Mm,
I know, I said I lost 100 pounds 100 times, but I always would gain it back
mhm.
because it's a long haul. When you have hundreds of pounds to lose, you can lose 100 and nobody notices. I mean,
Wow.
they don't notice. Nobody
Wow.
says, "Oh," they'll say things like, "Have you ever thought about going on a diet?" I'm like, "I've been dieting for a year and I've lost 100 pounds," but they don't know.
Yeah.
And you lose it and you're doing so good and you don't eat the bad foods and you're eating the good foods and you're trying to get whatever movement in you can if you can, and it's so hard and nobody notices the results and it takes so long that you just give up and you just go back. And in fact, for every time I lost 50 pounds, my stomach felt heavier because it would drop
Right.
more.
Yeah.
So it
Mhm.
actually I actually would put weight back on just to give me relief from the
Wow.
pain that my hanging stomach was causing.
Wow.
So it was hard, and it's easy to wanna give up when it's hard, when you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, but there is a light. It's
Yeah.
there, and I had to learn that I have to stop thinking about it in hundreds, and it was 5 pounds. I started walking because I hadn't gone to the Y yet, I hadn't figured out the whole physical therapy thing, and at first, I could only walk outside the front door into my driveway and then back in, and my friend who lived in Minnesota would be on the phone with me to make
Mm.
sure that I was okay, that I didn't
Wow.
fall or
Right.
or stop breathing. And then I was able to walk down the length of my driveway, and then I could go up and down the driveway, and then I could walk for 10 minutes and turn around and walk back,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then I started walking, a mile around the neighborhood. Once in the morning by myself, I would walk and pray, and then
Mhm.
in the evening, my husband would walk with me, and we would walk that same route again, so I was doing it twice a day. But I had to look at things in small increments.
Yeah.
What can I do today that I
Yeah.
couldn't do yesterday? Like atomic
So
habits,
good.
right? Just 1%. What's
Yeah.
one little thing more that I can do?
Mhm.
And it was not about losing 100 pounds, it was losing one or not gaining. Sometimes the goal was just not to gain.
Right.
It's the holidays and you're going to have food that, you're going
More
to eat
rich. Right.
something and you choose, okay, I know I'm gonna have a piece of that pie, a small piece, and I'm not gonna eat a big piece, but I know I'm gonna have a small piece. This is way back in the day, but I my goal was not to gain. Just manage it. Don't let food be in control, and you make the plan. If you make the plan and stick to it, then it's your plan,
That's
and you
right.
can and you can do it. And that's how I did it. I had to break it down, and I had to not want other people to give me the praise. I had to learn to give it to myself.
Yeah.
And that is what changed me,
I've
learning.
had a lot of clients say that no one has complimented me. And I'm like, are you doing this for them or you?
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Yep. Because people wanna hear it and they
They
wanna
do.
know that
And
they're
I get
doing
that for
well,
sure.
but you have to compliment yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I think I told you this, but when I worked at Nationwide at the insurance office before I got sick, I had a paperclip chain. And so every time I drank a cup of water, I'd clip a paperclip together, or every time I ate salad, instead of the McDonald's cheeseburger, I put
Yeah.
a paperclip on the chain, and I had this whole
Good
chain
decisions.
good decisions all day long,
Yeah.
and I would just keep adding to the chain. And people used to say, "Oh, well, I ate that cookie. That's it. I've blown it." I'm like, "But I've got 20 clips of good decisions,
Hmm.
and that one little clip, I'd use like a black clip if I made a bad decision. I'm looking at the chain like that's only one little teeny piece. It's not
Got
enough
it.
to stop." And that's what I did. I had to find ways to make myself feel motivated to continue. And if it took 10 years, and it did, then it takes 10 years.
Yeah.
But if I didn't do it, where would I be? I'd probably be
Mm.
not here talking to
I
you,
know.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Gracious. Thank you. You did a great job.
it's hard. It's a tough story to tell, but it's got a happy ending. It started
It
out bad, but
does.
and it's still going. And I'm excited to let's let people know that, it's gonna keep going. My story's not over yet.
No,
It's like
ma'am.
just
No, it's
starting.
not.
It's
No,
just
it's
starting.
not. You'll see when I make your image for this. You'll have
Uh,
a before and a still going.
Okay. I
Very
like that.
important. I rarely put before and after. I put
Mhm.
before and still going. I think
I like
those
that.
words are important. Yeah.
I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. How can they find you?
Well, I call myself Kitty Cat. That's my nickname. So I have Kitty Cat's Corner. There is a free Facebook group on Facebook. I have
Mhm.
a business page also called Kitty Cat's Corner
Okay.
and a website called Kitty Cat's Corner.
Good girl.
Uh, the website is still kind of under development because
Yeah.
I'm not that savvy, but I'm working on it. It's getting
Okay.
there. I blog on there a little bit. I blogged about my daughter and
Mhm.
that it's okay
Wow.
to be sad sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be more active on that as well. But those are the main places. I think I have an Instagram page. I think when I post on Facebook, it posts on
It goes
Instagram
to
too.
it. Yeah.
So I don't know how to find my own Instagram page, but I think there is one.
Okay.
So
That's so
just look
funny.
for, and it's all K's, Kitty Cat's Corner, all with the
Good.
letter
That's good to say.
K.
Yeah.
So you can find me there and you'll recognize it because it's usually something pink. Everything I
Yeah.
have is pink. I
We're the
love the
pink
color.
girls.
Yes.
We may or may not have traded journals with others without their knowledge so we could get pink ones.
I definitely did that. I went looking around before other people came in the room. I was the first one in there. I made sure I had a pink journal.
I love it. That's so funny.
It
Kathy,
was
thanks
great.
you so much for sharing your story. It's so
Thank you.
special, and I'm so glad that you chose to agree to do this because I think it's going to bless a tremendous amount of people.
I hope so. And thank you for asking me.
You're
This
welcome.
was really something special for me. So thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. You want to tell them bye?
Bye, everybody. I hope to
Bye,
see you.
y'all.
Come find me on Kitty Cat's Corner.
All right, bye, y'all.